Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Los Angeles, Richard Christiansen.
Hello. Thank you for that welcome. I would like to welcome you to our home in Los Angeles. It's called Flamingo Estate. I live here with my partner Harvey and our dogs and our goats and our bees and our chickens. It's 5 years ago today that I met Harvey. Today's our anniversary. I didn't get a gift. I'm really in trouble. But I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I met Harvey, but also because we had the craziest adventure in 5 years that was completely unexpected. And it started because we were here harvesting in our orchard and pulling everything that we loved from our garden and really, honestly, just rejoicing in nature and the garden and all the things that we could make. We cook all the time. And this house, which I love with my full heart, has become much more than just the place that we live. It's become a brand, and it's become, I hope, an accidental meeting ground for hundreds and hundreds of collaborators and environmentalists and writers and farmers, and I hope a handmade catalyst for change. And then as you heard, when COVID hit, it absolutely crumbled. And anyone that started their own business, anyone that works hard in their job knows that their entire self-esteem is often attached to their job, which was mine. So I was devastated when that happened. But something remarkable, crazy also happened. The very first Friday of COVID, a farmer walked in to see us. We knew her because I had bought my citrus trees from her for the garden. And she walked in and she said, "Richard, I'm going to lose my farm because all of my vegetables go to restaurants." And you all remember the restaurants were closed during COVID. And so she was going to run out of money. And I remember I said my parents had lost their farm when I was a teenager. So I was like, absolutely not. We're not letting that happen. Bring your vegetables over and we're just going to sell them. We're going to sell boxes of vegetables. Harvey covered the box in this nice pattern to make it very Instagrammable. And honestly, I think she thought we could sell 12 boxes of vegetables. But that very, very first Friday, we sold 300. The next Friday, we sold 600. And then the next Friday, there was a line around the block to buy all of our vegetables. Yes, it's true, but it gets much better. Wait. The health department then shut us down. They said we shouldn't be selling vegetables in a residential location, which is fair enough. And so we thought, well, if we can't have people come over to get the vegetables, we're gonna deliver them. So we called for drivers. Within a few months, we had 50 delivery trucks. And people really came out of hiding. Grandmas and moms and teachers and nurses and everyone, it was so unexpected, came out to help us to drive vegetables. And Harvey's job and my job was to make Mother Nature look luxurious, even if we were shooting tomatoes to make them look really, really beautiful. And people started to notice. Our friends and people in Los Angeles started to Instagram their vegetables. We really created the Instagram vegetable. And we were very lucky that we live on the doorstep of Hollywood. So customers were, the Kardashians were customers, and Chrissy Teigen with her 34 million followers, and Ellen, you saw me on the Ellen show, she had me on the show, she was a customer, and Oprah talked about the vegetables. So we built this groundswell about our vegetables, and then, well, obviously people noticed, but the other people that noticed were the farmers. So one farm became 3 farms became 50 farms, and today we have 128 regenerative farms. And so, yeah, great people. Then everything takes like a total sideswipe. Everything gets changed around. I met this guy, Martin Brosius. He came to the estate and he said, "I heard you're helping farmers. Can you sell my olive oil?" And I said, "Oh my God, I'd love to sell it, but we already have enough olive oil. We've got 2 farms already." And he was walking out. And I said, "Wait, maybe we can make soap." And that's how we sort of got into the beauty industry, which is now 85% of what we do. And just to explain sort of how that happened, this is my favorite place in the estate. This is our bathhouse. I take a bath twice a day. I love taking a bath. And the water from the bath runs into the garden. And my roses were dying because of all of the chemicals in my body wash from a very fancy brand that you all know. And I was like, well, if I can't put it on my plants, why would I put it on my skin? And so we started making our own a long time before we thought of selling it. But of course, that sort of set off this chain reaction where we decided why don't we take everything from those farmers, the vegetable farmers, and start making everything that we need for the whole day. The coffee in the morning when we wake up, the candles during the day, the shampoo and the conditioner, and the wine that we drink at night, and the chocolates we share with our friends. And what's really interesting is that nobody had ever really tried to scale a business this way. No one has sort of worked directly with farms, not with third parties, not with agriculture companies, not with middlemen, just we work directly with the people in the ground, pay them more for what they're getting, more than what they would get at the farmer's market, make something else from their products they didn't expect, like beauty products or bath products, and really try to scale that business, to wrap our arms around all of them. So I believe today, in a world drunk on innovation, where everyone's crazy about AI and everyone's on their phone all the time, we're in love with our telephones, we need to do the opposite. We need to return to things that are made by hand, like our grandmas used to make them, that are made with real ingredients, that taste really good, and are crafted by real people. That's obviously soft power. It's also hard revenue. Just to put my business cap on, our business has now doubled and doubled and doubled and doubled. We are in 600 stores in the United States and in Australia. We launch in Asia next year. And I know, hand on my heart, we are going to build a billion-dollar brand. And not because we're greedy, but because I really want to turn around to Estee Lauder and to L'Oreal and to P&G and show them that someone can build a business this way, can work with farmers this way, can craft products this way, and make things in a farm, not in a lab. And leave the world perhaps much better than we found it. So we believe that Mother Nature is the last great luxury house. That's what we always say. It's written on our bags. And what does this mean? For Harvey and I, it means we have to put the culture back into horticulture. As you saw in the video, to take everything we learned in our entire careers about beauty and luxury and put it onto the farm. I think if you want people to think about the environment a different way, you must show it to them a different way. So that meant we invited lots of creative people, and artists came, musicians came. We had Quincy Jones and Billie Eilish and Moses Sumney came. We did some amazing collaborations. This is Jane Goodall, the environmentalist. Many of you know her. She's an icon. We did a honey with her to raise money for her environmental programs. We did the same thing with LeBron James, the world's most famous athlete. I'm not such a sports guy. But we put our bees on the roof of his house and then let them make honey, and we took all of the honey from his house and we used those proceeds for charity. Did the same thing with Ed Ruscha, the iconic artist, with Ai Weiwei last year at his house. And then started working with our friends in Hollywood that were customers, Julianne Moore and Chrissy Teigen. We just did this lovely olive oil with Laura Dern called Dern Over a New Leaf, and all of the proceeds for all of those products, all of them go to the environment, including a collaboration we did with Porsche. Seems unlikely, it's about the colors of the garden. And Sesame Street came over to tell little kids how to recycle and compost. Our next collaboration, by the way, is with Pamela Anderson. It comes out in June. I'm very excited. It's a very funny one, you'll see. I also wrote 2 books. This is my new book, in collaboration with Martha Stewart and Jane Fonda. We published 8 books in total. My new book was launched in December by Al Gore, the previous vice president, as part of his climate initiative. You can see I own 1 suit because I'm always in the garden. That was a happy accident. While I was writing my books and doing that stuff, Harvey, very hard at work. He designed magazines about the garden, which are beautiful. He threw himself into packaging. Even though this stuff comes from farms, we want to make it really feel like it's luxury. So everything's very detailed. Everything is as beautiful as possible. And we continued to photograph Mother Nature like she was jewelry. We created this funny concept called the inconvenience store. Not the convenience store, the inconvenience store, because it's a pain in the ass to make this stuff. The farmers are really difficult to work with, and we have to grow it the right way, and we have to harvest it the right way. So this is a collection of products that are really difficult to put together, but we're very proud of them. And we took the revenue from those projects and others, and we donated a lot of it to the Jane Goodall Institute. We planted 250,000 trees with the National Forest Foundation. And my personal favorite, we've been trying really hard to ban Roundup, glyphosate, which, as you know, is one of the most deadly herbicides in the world and the most widely used. I think this is probably, in all honesty, one of the most improbable things about what we've done in the last 5 years. We never really knew how many products we would make. We ended up making over 150 things. But once we did it, we really understood the significant change this could make to the way the beauty industry works and also how food systems work. My favorite example is palm oil. You know, palm oil is in absolutely everything. Everything has palm oil in it, but it's the largest cause of deforestation in the world. It calculates sort of 20% of global warming is attributed to that deforestation. So we wanted to find something for our shampoo and our body wash and our beauty products that didn't have palm oil. And it's really hard because it's cheap and it bubbles well and people like it. But we found something here in the Amazon jungle, something called babasu oil. And it's harvested by local communities, and it grows this really interesting, like right between the grassland and the forest, babasu grows. And so if we can give value to those trees, get more money for those trees, they sort of act as a, you know, almost like an electric fence around the forest so you don't push it further in. We did the same research, the same sort of thing with yakasugi oil in Japan, with Douglas fir that we harvest in Canada, with sea buckthorn oil from Nepal, manuka honey from New Zealand. And again, all the money from all those harvests go towards the environment and go back to the people who are on the land. I want you to meet my friend Gonzalo. He's in Mexico. He's one of the people we work with. This is his farm and his house. It's kind of crazy. He bought 900 acres in the middle of the thickest, craziest jungle you've ever been to. And in the middle, he's got like a 20-acre block where he's growing the rarest, extinct, endangered vegetables and stuff you might have never seen, striped tomatoes and polka dot bananas and stuff that's indigenous to Mexico, but has long disappeared because the type of skin it had might have been too soft to ship around the world or something like that. Gonzalo's idea, this area is much like Thailand. It's lots of tourist hotels, lots and lots of resorts. He wanted chefs at the hotels and resorts to use this produce instead of shipping in produce. Also, why would you have a tomato in Mexico at your $2,000 a night villa and the same tomato you could have here in Thailand or the same one you can have in Los Angeles? So really like being really proud of local tastes. Anyway, he went to all the hotels. We went with him. We wanted to sell soap. And the answer was a flat no. No, no, no. They didn't want to spend the money until this man showed up. Rene Redzepi, many of you know Noma. It's, for many years, has been repeatedly named the best restaurant in the world. It's in Copenhagen. Noma did a pop-up in Tulum in Mexico. And one of the things Noma's powerfully famous for is like real care, local produce. They really care about growers. They strictly get local ingredients, which it really helps them celebrate the community and the culture. Because of that, almost 1 million people a year would go to Copenhagen to get just 20 seats at Noma. Entire economies were built around Noma, and not just farms, but airlines and hotels and everyone benefiting from all these people coming in. And the most famous restaurant in the world happened to be in their city. So you now have a 3-star Michelin restaurant here, Sorn. Congratulations, it's a wonderful achievement. I want to remind you, though, when that happened at Noma, the government really went to work. They created something called the 10-point Nordic Food Program, where the Nordic government sat down. They said, we are going to promote Nordic growers and farmers. We're going to give them more money. We're going to work with them directly. We're really, really going to invest in farmers. And today, 1/4 of the tourists that come to Denmark come only for food. Contrast that with somewhere like Hawaii. Hawaii is a dust bowl now. It is farmers are not supported. They import 90% of the food that they eat. Despite having some of the best soil in the world, farms are disappearing. And we've just started working with this farmer, and it's a very small project, but my dream in Hawaii is to sort of replicate what we did on the mainland in Hawaii, and again, create this like ecosystem of farmers and suppliers and make new things from the produce that they're growing. Thailand, it's the complete opposite of Hawaii, but there's a cautionary tale. You obviously export significantly more than you import, which is great. But most farmers in Thailand are not earning a livable wage, and 40% of farming households here live below the national poverty line. 40%. Complicating, this factor is that a handful of major agriculture companies control most of the agricultural trade, leaving small farms, regenerative farms, organic farms, with very limited market access. Now, this is a super complicated thing, and we're not going to solve it today. But I just want to remind you, you have jewels at your fingertips. These are rubies and these are gems. These are the most incredible things in the world that are growing here. And some of these flavors that you cannot get anywhere else, that we know all around the world that we love. And this is a blessing. My question for you is, how can we add more value to these things? How can you do what, let's say, they did in Japan with Kobe beef, or in Spain with ham, or with kimchi in Korea, or in Italy with tomato and pommes and cheese? How can we add local value and pride to these things that you're producing and give them more value? And what else can we make with them? Your national fruit is the mangosteen, the queen of fruits, I think you call it, which is amazing. It's so full of antioxidants and vitamin C. It's and antibacterial properties. It's the perfect base ingredient for cosmetics. So my dream for you would be to do a national version of Flamingo Estate, or something adjacent, where you build consumer brands, you build a group of consumer brands, and you really wrap your arms around Thai farmers and help them and support them and harvest directly from them and make everyone a lot of money, which would be the goal. So one last thought. This is Alice Waters. She's largely regarded as maybe the founder of the farm-to-table movement. She's a chef. She's in my new book. And she famously says, what you put into your mouth is what you put into the world. Meaning, if you eat terrible food, you kind of become a terrible person. And if you process food, you become unhealthy. But it's also sort of, you digest the qualities of your food. So what's Thailand putting into the world? Your flavors here are sweet, and you're spicy, and you're hot, and you're complex, and you're surprising, and you're bold, and you're radically different to the rest of the world. My hope, my wish for you all, is that you show up in these ways. This is sweet power, and this is spicy power. This is complex power, and bold power, and radically different, delicious power. And this is your soft power. Thank you very much.
Richard Christiansen. Fantastic. Please join me. You've got a few minutes, I'm assured. I've got enough questions for about 25 minutes. But
let's do it.
Let's get straight into it. You ran from the farm, the family farm. You ran to New York.
As fast as I could.
Yeah, lucky you came back to the farm. Tell us about that.
Coming back to the
Was it important, do you think, that you left? Would you have learnt what you needed to know 20 years later?
Oh, what a good question. I think so. I think I learned the most when my business crumbled, maybe not going to work in advertising and fashion. I think I'm sure many people felt this way. I was exhausted from working so hard, I was tired, I was unhealthy, I was totally out of alignment. I really understood that good food and good ingredients are a luxury, and brought me back to life. Yeah.
Having 2 baths a day, I think a luxury that nobody else in the room can probably afford. But being more serious, you've talked about regenerative farming. Can you tell us a bit more what that means?
It's full circle, and it's something that we all probably know because it's as old as time. It's treating water well, it's treating soil well, it's regenerating soil. It's also about treating people well and getting the planet healthy again. Obviously no pesticides, no chemicals.
And it's a step above organic, you said.
Yeah, step above organic, for sure.
And the question I have, or the problem I fear, is that sustainability feels like a luxury. It's something that wealthy people can afford, but those less well off perhaps can't.
Well, I think that everyone deserves good food. Everyone deserves not to eat food with pesticides or chemicals. Everyone deserves stuff that, they say that good food is grown in good soil, and everyone deserves that. I think we're in a climate where you unfortunately might need to pay more to get that than before. It's funny because in places like Mexico, when I talked about Gonzalo, many people that lived there used to grow vegetables in their backyards. They were very healthy. Then they left to work in big cities to chase a better life, and now they're eating crap and more unhealthy than before. So it's funny that we've lost touch with that part of ourselves.
You're a creative. You've created almost unknowingly a luxury brand. Perhaps you didn't set out to create a luxury brand. Thailand is full of farmers. You've said they're the greatest creatives on the planet. So the future is bright.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much potential here. I mean, as I said, jewels. There's jewels here. There's so many tastes, and the world looks at Thailand for flavor. And we had a conversation last night with someone. We were talking about like confidence is needed to be like, we have the best stuff in the world, and now we need to charge more for it. Yeah.
That's a good message. We have the best stuff in the world. We have the best on this stage. Big round of applause, please. Richard Christiansen.
Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you.